And we're going to do the installation process right now of Windows Server 2012 Server Core. It's going to be identical to our previous installation as far as the installation steps go. So I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. The only difference is the selection we choose off that menu. We're going to choose Server Core instead. Other than that, I'm going to create a new virtual machine. So sometimes I go to File, New Virtual Machine. And I'll go through this kind of quickly, just so we can get to the installation part of it. And I'm going to click Next for the type, install the operating system later. It is still Windows 2012. Click Next. And the machine name and configuration is going to be important at this point. I am going to call it Windows Server 2012 Core. And I'm going to put it in a different directory. So I'm going to click Browse again. And I'm going to put it on my D drive underneath my virtual machines under Server 1. And under Server 1, I'm going to make a new folder called Windows Server 2012 Core. Make sure you actually select it, not just make a new folder, but select it as well. And when you click OK, you should have this screen on here. This, again, is the most important thing. Once you name it, you could call it really anything you want. It gets a little confusing, but it doesn't affect anything. This will affect things by not having it in the proper place. After that, the rest are all the defaults again. A single processor, 2 gigs of RAM, a network address translation type, network connection, and then my disk information. Just kind of clicking next to the whole thing. I still need to insert my disk. Okay, continuing on, I want to click on the CD DVD drive again. And I want to use the ISO image. So click on Use ISO image, and then you want to find the same ISO file, that same Windows Server 2012 ISO file. The ISO file contains all the different images for all the different versions of the installation. And you click OK. You power on the machine the same way. And it boots up. This is all the same. Same screen, same defaults. Click Next. And then the Install Now button. This is the difference in the installation process right here. The very first object is Windows Server 2012 Standard Evaluation Server Core Installation. This is the core. It's going to be minimal. It's going to have just the command prompt interface for you. Then you click Next. This is the same license agreement that you just read moments ago very thoroughly. So since you read it a little while ago, you can just click I accept. And you click Next. Same thing here. We're doing the advanced install, which is installing Windows. So I'll click Install. Same disk, and the screens are going to look identical. You won't notice a difference until it reboots. When it reboots, you're going to come up with a different login screen, and the way that it has the password prompted for you. And so we'll take a look at that when this comes back up. When it reboots, it's going to come back to this screen. It's going to be a little bit different than the regular server with GUI. You end up doing the same thing. You have to enter and administer a password. It just looks a little bit different. The user's password must be changed before signing in, so go ahead and click OK. To the new password, capital PA, $W0RD. Password's been changed, you click OK. And this is your screen. This is what you get. Can be a little bit intimidating, but the server went through the video of why we have this. It's minimal, less operating system, vulnerabilities, less to maintain, less resources, all that kind of stuff. There's a couple things you'll need to know how to do. One of them is knowing how to shut down. That'd be interesting. You know, what do you do from here? I have no hover, anything across here. Actually, even before that I do that, let me install VMware Tools on here. To install VMware Tools, go to the same place, VM, install VMware Tools. Now, if you read here, I've never read, you know, I never showed this to you, but if you do not see VMware Tools installing, run setup from the virtual CD drive in the guest operating system. So that's all was there. That's what we did last time. We went to the virtual CD and we ran setup. If I click install, so what it's doing is mounting that virtual drive in the background. So give it a few seconds, and then you should be able to type in D:, and eventually get a D drive. So this is, remember DOS commands? No? If I do a directory, you can see setup, and so you can just run setup. Now, just because it's core doesn't mean that you won't have any graphical user interface. Some of the applications and some things we look at later on do in fact give you some menus to choose from. Some of them give you a semi-graphical environment to work with, so you don't lose everything all the time. You just have to know the commands to execute them, to run them. Come on. It's coming. And ultimately you come back to the same screen that you would in the regular server environment. Go ahead and click next. Typical install, just like we did in the other server. Click install. Just changing all the screen resolution stuff. And click finish. Must restart for it to take place and take changes. Go ahead. The changes to take effect. And then you can also see what it looks like when you come back in to log in. When it does come up, type your password in. You come right back to your command prompt. Some of the scary things that can happen are that you're not sure. Also, you're working along and it's like, oh, let me clear things up. Let me close this window. Uh-oh. Well, that's okay. Let me go down to start. No start. How about my charm? Nope, no charm bar. Now what do? You find the power button, you turn it off, you can turn it back on. Is that a good thing for your server? No, it's not. Um, we use Control Delete in the past for Task Manager to delete stuff all the time, like, oh, something crashed or it's hanging up a processor. You can also use your Task Manager to start processes, and that's what we need to do. So Control Alt Insert will bring you to your Task Manager. Well, lock, switch user, sign out, change password, the same things as you would with Control Delete. But the Task Manager, the part that we're actually concentrating on. So you go to Task Manager. There are no apps running. Well, if you go under More, you can go to File, Run New Task. You can run a new task. And the task that we want to run is CMD, which is your command prompt. If you had closed everything else also, and you want to run a PowerShell environment, you can do File, Run New Task, and type in PowerShell. And that brings you up into a PowerShell environment. Or you can do both. And you can do multiples of them, of either PowerShell or command prompt. Thank you. How do you get the Task Manager? Control Alt Insert. Normally it's Control Delete. So it's just like on a computer, Control Delete. Task Manager. It'll by default to show that little window, you want to click on More so you can get to the actual Task Manager. It's a pretty cool Task Manager. It does show you what's using what and how much memory overall and CPU. If something gets kind of high, it'll actually turn red and sort of, you know, jump out at you that way. But the most important thing that we need to work with is File, Run, New Task. And we don't do that all the time. The time we do that, especially, is when we've lost all of our windows and we have nothing else to work with. From in a command prompt, you can, let's see, I think I can change this to PowerShell. It actually runs, oh, it's going to keep PowerShell within that window. It is PowerShell, doesn't change the background because this is a command prompt window, but I am in PowerShell. Just always look at the beginning of your prompt. If there's nothing in the front of your prompt, it's a regular command line. If there's a PS in front of it, it's going to be PowerShell. You can type exit to take me back out of there. To get me back into my whatever window I'm working with. So you can X out here, or you can do this. So you can have both those environments that you're working with. If you exit out of it, Control Alt Insert, Task Manager, File, Run New Task, and CMD is your window, is your command prompt. And again, you can have multiples of them. So you might be working with one directory, like go back here, cd / Windows, and I could be over here, cd / go to root. I can make a directory here. You can do all kinds of different things, go back and forth. Now it's not like Windows though, where you can't like, oh, I have a file in my Windows directory. Let me drag and drop it over there. Drag and drop doesn't work in command prompt. That's where the copy command comes in. Everybody's good with the copy command, right? Copy and move and delete and rename, and that's where your DOS skills come in. We're not teaching that in class, so if you need a refresher, grab a book, take a look at it. We're not going to be doing much in here. The commands that we'll be doing, you won't be able to memorize. They're long and tedious, so a kind of reference guide is going to be. So we're going to take a look at, here's actually from Microsoft's TechNet, which is sort of their documentation for their different operating systems and things. So configuring a server core server. So some common things that you might want to do from the command prompt is set the administrator's password, or set a static IP address, or joining a domain once we have a domain. Renaming the server, that's the first thing we did, right? Yeah, so if you rename a server, it's a command prompt, rename computer. You have to know your current computer name, but there's ways of actually getting around that. So if I want to do that, I could do rename computer. Oh, was that a PowerShell command? The new name, we'll call it server. What's our last server? 1?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do server 2, I guess. And just like in Windows, and with the graphical user environment, it gives you the warning that changes will take effect after you restart your computer. So how would I restart my computer? Well, let's try that. It's not a recognized command. No, it's actually shutdown. It's shutdown, and then you have a switch. Just like we went to the control panel, the charms area, and then went to settings and power, you have 2 options, restart or shutdown. You have that option right here. You can do a /S for shutdown or /R for restart. So shutdown space /R, and you do need to give it a time, so /T, and you can give it 5 seconds to give, or 1 second. They say, I haven't tried this, they said that you can actually put a shutdown timer up to 10 years. So if you want to shut down your server on November 12th, 2023, you could do that if you wanted to.
That would have been nice to know.
I'll put 1 second and I hit enter. And that's how you shut down your machine. Restart your machine. Okay. Okay, when you come back, eventually, just hit Control Alt Insert. It looked like it was still going. It took a really long time. I'll type it back in here. Come back to your command prompt. But again, just kind of like looking at those command. Let's see what I do with it. Let me try it again. In the command prompt, I did tzutil /s, and then in quotes, Central Standard Time. And it should come back. Now if I type in, I think I just type in time, enter new time. It doesn't tell me any time zone though. tzutil displays the current time zone ID. So let me do a /G. So currently I'm Central Standard Time. For that screen. Okay, for netshell question mark gives you commands. Maybe this one a little bigger here. But then you get further commands, like say I want to add something, netshell add question mark, and you have, oh, there's none for that one, obviously, I guess. How about interface? Netshell interface question mark, and you have more help, and then you can do netshell interface IP version 4 /help, and you can go on and on and on. So there's just tons of information and tons of parameters and links. This is where documentation comes in really, really handy, where you can look at it and refer back to it. This is the command I need to do this command, such as changing the IP address. And we're going to do that. So we're going to do netshell, and we're going to use the interface command, and we'll be setting the IP address for our network. So IP version 4, interface IP version 4. Set the address for Ethernet as a static address. I'll keep this on the screen, by the way.
Well, on mine, I have Windows.
And now I want to type the static address of 192. And you have to have numlock on, otherwise you lose your entire command. So let me start it again. Net shell interface IP version 4 set address Ethernet static 192.168.118.70. If I do an IP config now, I should see an IP address of 192.168.118.70. I'm going to add a little bit to that command. That is how you just change the IP address. If you want to change the IP address and the default gateway, which is what we want to add, so I have to look all these up again. You need to include the subnet mask. So just hit the up arrow key, net shell interface IP version 4, set address Ethernet static 192.168.118.70. Add the default, so the subnet mask, which would be 255.2, it's a space, 255.255.255.0, space, and then 192.168.118.2. I wasn't going to get this far into it. Now if I do an IP config, I should see my default gateway in there as well, which I do, which is good. No, you do not type subnet and gateway. All you do is add it as one long string. So you give it IP address, subnet mask, and then default gateway. And again, our gateway is 118.2. You know what? Let me change. I think I can change this. Let's see. Properties, font. Is that possibly easier to read, maybe? Next thing I want to do is add the DNS so it can resolve a name. So if I went right now and I did a ping, I could be able to ping 08.8.8.8, which is Google. So that means that my default gateway is right. That means that my, all my IP configuration is right, and I can get out to the internet. But I most likely won't be able to ping the name. It doesn't know how to resolve Google. It's saying, what's Google? I need a DNS configuration. If I do an IP config /all, and let's see, DNS servers, I don't have an IP version 4 DNS server to even point to. So I'm going to add that right now. I'm going to do a net sh interface IP version 4 set DNS servers, again, Ethernet. This is going to be a static address, and I'm just going to point it back that the same default gateway again. Normally you would point it right to the DNS servers of your organization. This is sort of a step in between, 192.168.118.2. So net sh interface IP version 4 set DNS servers Ethernet static 192.168.118.2. Kind of command prompt is no news is good news. If there's an error, it'll definitely tell you. Bad command, file name, bad parameter, don't know what you're talking about, anything like that. But if it just comes back and brings you back to the prompt, you're assuming it's going to work correctly. Do an ipconfig/all to verify that. And yes, I do have a DNS server on here. Now I should be able to ping Google. It should be able to resolve the name. And it does. So I am good.